Hey Tony, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Well, first off, I guess just if you could just kind of speak to, I guess, what this kind of means to you. I know obviously you guys have a lot of things you kind of want to get off your chest, but what does this kind of mean to you personally in terms of just kind of obviously showing this type of unity for the community here at Texas Tech?
What it means to me personally, it's just a step in the right direction. I'm just surprised at how many people actually are supporting it, and how many coaches and people from the presidential office and the police department. I'm just, it really shocked me at how easy it was to just tell them like, this is what we have planned, this is what we want to happen, and I'm just thankful that they actually approved of it to happen, and I'm excited about what's going on here at 7 o'clock.
I guess just along those lines, I guess for you, has anything kind of touched you, I guess personally, that's kind of made you feel so big about this, or I guess as a teammate kind of stepped up and kind of told you something that made you feel good about doing something like this?
Nothing really personally happened. I'm just tired of seeing the violence and stuff happen on the news, Twitter, any social media, site, website, or whatever. It's just a time for a change, and it's time for my generation to step up, because I refuse to be the next victim. I refuse to see it happen again. And this, like I said, this isn't a simple walk or anything like that. This is just a piece, an example, like a peace thing that we're going to do, just to show the community that we are here at Texas Tech University going to do it. We have support. We're trying to get into the right direction, basically, and that's all. And I'm just glad that it's happening.
Hey Tony, so you said you were kind of nervous about whether or not other people would kind of stand behind this. How did the whole idea come about? Who did you first go to talk about it? And what then kind of happened to allow this day to occur?
I went to Coach Troy Kimmel at first with just the thought of it, because he's one of them guys that we do community works with. He takes us out to hospitals and everything like that. So I knew that he'll have connections that I needed to make this happen. And I just wanted to, the original plan that we're still going to go forth with, after the COVID-19 stuff slow down, was to do a peace walk on the west side of Lubbock. And the west side of Lubbock is kind of the more, wealthier side, because we've done these walks before on the east side. But I want to move over there towards the west side, because that's where all the quote unquote rich people live at, and that's where we want to be known for too. We want to see how many people in that community will support us and stuff. But due to this COVID situation, that was kind of put on hold by the city, and so actually Mr. Kirby Hocutt and President Skubanak, their thought was to move it into our own backyard, as they said, which is here on the university. And they was like, would y'all be supportive of that? Would y'all want to put that together? And we're like, that's a great idea. Absolutely, we'd love to do that. And so I'm just glad that they're the ones who actually came up with the idea, and they just kind of left it up to us as players to just go forth with it.
And off of that, remember you had posted that piece on Twitter about kind of how you are on almost both sides of it because of your one day. How much of that has been kind of part of your inspiration to bring these two sides together a little bit in a world where we're kind of divided?
It's a big step. It was a risk, to go out there and tell my friends and family, who some of them honestly just don't, who have zero tolerance for police officers and stuff. And my thing is like, this will continue to happen if we don't all come together. More crimes and stuff is going to be committed by officers and by minority people, because they just don't like the police, or they're afraid of them or whatever. And so I figure, like, if we could start somewhere and just get us to all come together and be on the same page, that's positive. That's showing growth in the world, and that's showing growth in our community.
Go to John Sokoloff, Fox 34.
Hey Tony, Brady King here with Fox 34 and John Sokoloff. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Why is it important for athletes to use their voice and their platform to speak on issues like Black Lives Matter and all of that?
It's very important, because we're not just football players. We're not just athletes. There's so much more to all of us besides the sport that we play in, besides what people see of us on TV or, when they come to our stadium. We have a voice, we have our opinions, and since we have this platform, this a decent sized platform, why not take advantage of it? Why not use it? It's important too. And that's been one of my main goals since I came to college. Like, I'm going to have a platform. I want to be able to speak my opinion, speak my voice, and, hopefully, say the right things and not say anything, too disrespectful or offend anybody as possible, because that's not what I mean in any way or fashion. So it's important for us to use it because we have a voice, we have our own opinions. Let's not keep it behind closed doors. Let's say it out loud.
For sure. Do you think this has brought your teammates closer together, having some tough conversations and all of that?
Absolutely. I mean, because when we have these conversations as teammates, we tell each other, like, listen, we all understand it. We all love each other. We're all a family. And so, I mean, just speak your mind and your heart. Don't be afraid to hold anything back. If we feel like you said something inappropriate ever, we're gonna pause you. We're gonna tell you about it, but we're not gonna judge you in any form of way. How you feel is how you honestly feel.
All right, we will go to Ronald Clark, KCBD, Lubbock.
Obviously, we've seen some separation amongst teams, like, what happened at Oklahoma State, even though they obviously squashed that pretty quickly. What has conversation been like with, the players who've brought this to the attention of the coaches, and what have been their reception of you guys, having these demonstrations and talks?
Thankfully, our coaching staff supports us 100%. There's no better feeling besides that when their head coach and their athletic director and president are telling us that whatever you guys want to do, we're going to support you, we're going to have your back. I'm thankful for it. I'm so glad that there was no problems with anything like that, because I honestly wouldn't know how to deal with that situation. I'm sure those players at those other universities felt some type of way, and I'm glad to hear that they resolved those problems. But over here at Texas Tech, we haven't had a single issue with our coaches, thankfully.
All right, we will go back to Carlos Silva.
Tony, I know this year's your sophomore year. Do you kind of feel like you've almost taken a leadership role going into your second year? And how much has this kind of helped you learn what it means to be a leader, kind of doing something like this, kind of being the voice of the voice of your team and your teammates? I
mean, I feel like I've been that way throughout high school and stuff, which kind of makes it easier when I transition here to college. That my teammates, they're going to be comfortable talking to me because I'm a player more than they'll so be comfortable with talking to some coaches or trainers or anything like that. And my thing is that I'll just speak my mind. I'll just speak on how I honestly feel about stuff. And I tell players all the time, if you're not comfortable with talking to the coach, tell me how you feel, and I'll go and I'll tell whoever it is that you need for you. Like, I'm here to represent my teammates and also represent myself. I just have that confidence that it takes to just be able to do it.
This will be Eric Kelly, KLBK.
So on the same kind of idea of that, is it something that you go, when you have this idea, do you go first to the upperclassmen to kind of see how they feel about it, or have you kind of built that rapport already where you feel comfortable, hey, when I have an idea, I'm going to run with it?
Depending on what the ideal is, if it's something that I feel like can affect the entire team, then I might ask as one of the seniors or whatever and see how they feel about it. But other than that, most of the time I'll just straight up call the coach or tell the coach about it, and we'll talk about it face to face, and then I'll go to my teammates afterwards after I've already discussed it with coach, just to see if that made sense or anything to them, and if they agree with it or anything.
How much has Matt Wells and the coaching staff kind of helped you guys feel comfortable in this situation? Because obviously they come from such a different background as most of the guys they coach, but how have they kind of adapted to that and accepted what you guys feel and what you guys want to be heard about?
They just did it naturally. You could just tell that this isn't just something that they're acting on. Like, this is how they honestly feel. This is how they honestly support us as players, for our beliefs and what we think is right and wrong. And, they've been full supportive of it, and we can't ask anything better than that. I'm just thankful that they're like that, honestly.
Anybody else might raise your hand on your screen if you have a question left, or we will. All right, we're going to John Sokoloff. I just saw him.
Hey Tony, I'm just wondering, any other like players who have been as vocal or have been as demonstrative about this going on, like this movement and what y'all are trying to achieve?
Yeah, absolutely. Here with us today is Jamarcus Ingram. He's been one of them. Adrian Fry, Rico, Eli Howard, Jack Anderson. Pretty much all of the upperclassmen they've been speaking out on it and being in our meeting, our team captain meeting, talking about it, how they honestly feel about situations, and they're all supportive of this walk that's going on today, and they're all going to be here as well.
All right, we're going to Phil Mayer. Everything Lubbock.
Tony, can you hear me?
Yes, I can kind of hear you.
Okay. If you don't mind answering, since the killing of George Floyd and all the ensuing protests, what have the last couple of months been like for you emotionally?
Emotionally, it hasn't been too extremely hard. It's just one of those things that when you hear about it and when you see it, there's no way that you could tell me that you don't feel, sad or hurt for his family, for his friends, and for those people that were right there, witnessing this. Like, this isn't just normal. Like, this shouldn't be normal. And so honestly, it's just one of those things where you just gotta sit there, look at it, and just pray that it doesn't happen to you or any one of your loved ones.
All right, back to Ronald Clark.
Obviously, we talked about the importance of, having your coaches on board with you as well as your other teammates, but also we saw, Marlene Stallings of the women's basketball team out there. How important is it to, show that unity not across only your team, but also the other teams on campus as well?
That's exciting. It's exciting to see that pretty much the whole athletic department is for it. It is a we, us, and our program and university, and so that's the message that we're trying to get around this entire university. That way, no problems, no racial problems happen here, and to see the girls basketball team and the track and field and every other sports, support us and gonna be here tonight. That's exciting. That's what we want. That was the plan.
Anyone else have a question for? All right, we'll move to Jamarcus. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, I'm going to say one thing. Hey, and just as a side note, you will see Jamarcus this fall in a Big 12 PSA regarding diversity and social injustice. So that was shot about a week ago, but you will see him and several other players in that PSA this fall. We'll start with Eric Kelly.
Jamarcus, so we've heard from Tony on how this came about and how he kind of had the idea and what he wants to accomplish out of it. Let's hear from you. What is your angle and kind of what do you want to see come from something like this?
My first agenda that I feel like needs to be accomplished is that we need to be equal economically first off, and that's something that I feel real strong on. I feel like black people, we're not we don't have the same equality economically, and then I want to see the education system change. Because I feel like a lot of people don't actually know our history. We don't know the things that we've been through and the things that we need to know to operate in this world. So those were the first two things that I feel like we need to get accomplished, stuff economically and educationally.
I think Eric had another question, so we'll go back to him one more time.
And then when Tony brought this idea to y'all, what did you see and what were your kind of thoughts about it?
It really was a good idea, because if nobody speaks out, then it's like we just letting it go by and just stuff keeps happening, and then you never get anything accomplished. So this was a big step, you know, as far as like bringing everybody together and getting things taken care of and bringing it to the light to our coaches and actually showing them that we have a voice and that we want to be heard by other people.
All right, if you have a question, please either on your screen or I think Carlos Silva's wanting a question. 1 second.
Hey, Jamarcus, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I guess just the same question I asked Tony. Has anything personally kind of happened to you that's made this a little bit more personal for you, or has just, like you kind of mentioned, just the past couple of months just really kind of put everything in perspective for some people here?
Yeah, it really hit me hard personally. I won't lie to you. I feel like after seeing that, it touched me on a whole nother level, and it just made me go deeper into my history and to really understand what our civil rights activists, what they were doing and what they were trying to accomplish and the things that they did. Like, it really made me like dig deep into history and really just understand that what their agenda was and the things that they wanted to do and the things that they wanted to accomplish. And like, I feel like I have that platform to do some of the same things and tap into that energy that they put out into the universe and continue what they started.
Go to Ronald Clark.
You touched on that a little bit, but how important is it to you to, use your platform to bring attention to issues that you believe in, bettering for your community and even being a part of that PSA for the Big 12? I feel is very, very, very important because not too many people have this platform. Like, I could just be a regular student here at Texas Tech and wouldn't really have much power to use anything. So like now that I know the platform that I have and how to use it, and that I have people around me supporting me to do the things that I want to do, then I can use that to my advantage to get the things that I want to get out and use my teammates, my coaches, and everyone to help me get that accomplished.
We'll go back to Eric Kelly.
This may not be the easiest question to answer, but how do you break this cycle? Because it seems like we go through this every, 15, 20 years where it seems like we have this big uptick and everyone talks about it and it kind of just dies down, and then something else happens and then it dies down again. So how do you break the cycle so that we don't go through this and then we forget about it for 15 years and then it spikes back up again?
So for me, I feel like the first part of that question to answer is for my people, we need the education. Like, we need the education. We need to understand where we come from, understand the things that has happened to us and the things that we need to know to I guess move accordingly in this world. We need the education and the right education to understand certain things so that we can break that cycle. If we have the education on how to go out and get like certain business loans or different things of that nature so that we can be economically stable, the education and the education system, as far as like not so much as learning about I guess I would say like stuff that we're not using every day, and learning our history and different things like that. We can break the cycle and continue to push forward. So I feel like education is the biggest key to breaking that cycle.
Go back to Carlos Silva.
Marcus, I know you spoke about learning a little bit more about civil rights leaders and kind of all that education. I guess what was something that really kind of stood out to you and really made you feel like, okay, I can be one of these guys, or maybe someone that maybe you were learning about that kind of you felt like you wanted to try and take those same paths that they took?
I was watching an interview with KRS-One, and he just had a lot of info, and he was talking about a lot of different things, and then that made me tap into, I guess, a different energy or whatever. And then I started reading about Marcus Garvey and his movement and stuff like that. And then it's just reading those books and reading different excerpts about like civil rights activists, leaders, and stuff like that, it helped me understand the power that I have within myself and how to tap into it and to use it in a major way.
Go back to Ronald Clark.
Obviously, this is a huge step for you guys to be able to do this today, but have those conversations, continue? Where do you guys sort of go from here as the season approaches? Have you guys planned out any other things or any other events, going forward as the season approaches, or talked about anything?
For me, I started getting involved in the community on the east side of Lubbock because I feel like that was a area that I hadn't never been to, and I feel like I could relate more to that environment and to help those kids in the youth on that side of town. And so that was one step that I had in mind, like as we move forward in the season, like to help them and get their message out as well. And so that was one of the things that I had planned to with my teammates and stuff like that to help out on that side of town.
We'll go John Sokoloff and then Phil right afterwards.
Kind of building off that a little bit, what kind of environment has it kind of been like through the coaching staff? Have they kind of made it like an environment where you kind of feel comfortable talking about whatever issues, or obviously all the issues going on, and also, how easy is it for you guys to kind of have these difficult conversations?
It's pretty easy because they're real transparent, and they like to listen. Most importantly, listen to what we have to say. So, and then that's like this right now. We have the opportunity to talk to you guys, and they're letting us use this platform to express how we feel. So I feel like that's a big step, knowing that they help us.
Go to Phil Mayer.
Marcus, as a senior on the team, how much of a responsibility do you feel that talk to your younger teammates about education and all the stuff you've talked about on this call?
It's really big, because I feel like at this point in my career here, and at this point, I know a lot more than some of the younger guys would, and I feel like it's only right that I teach them and show them the different ways and stuff like that. And they might say like, oh, you got an old soul or something like, or you just, you real old school or something like that. But I feel like the stuff that I know, I'm just trying to give it to them in a way that they can understand it so that they can continue to move forward and press forward.
Anyone else have a question for tonight? Eric Kelly will get the last one, it looks like.
Marcus, for you, was there a turning point in your life when this became real, or maybe more important than it had been for you in years before that?
Yeah, it's been plenty of times. It's been plenty of times where I just was like, man, this is crazy that it's really happening to us, and how the system really affects us. But it really hit me hard when I watched that video, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. It was something about it. It was something different about it, and I feel like the world felt somewhat of what we've been feeling for so long.